Reprise au débat. The honourable member for Davenport.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I will be sharing my time with the very honourable member for Hamilton Centre. Madam Speaker, as always, it's a true pleasure for me to speak on Bill C-30 on behalf of the residents of my riding of Davenport. For those that need a reminder, Bill C-30 is legislation that, if passed, will double the goods and services tax credit amounts by 50% for the 2022-2023 benefit year, and will deliver target relief directly to Canadians who need it. It will make life affordable for many Canadians who need this additional support. We are here for the third reading of this bill in this House of Commons after having considered this legislation at Finance Committee yesterday. And I'm pleased to say, Madam Speaker, that Bill C-30 was passed in record time at Finance Committee by all parties. It was good to see that there was unanimous approval and support for this bill. And I hope that the opposition parties will consider also supporting our other affordability measures, such as providing a targeted dental benefit and a housing benefit, a one-time top-up. Madam Speaker, as you may know, our federal government has made it very clear. Our first order of business for this parliamentary session is to make life more affordable for Canadians who need it the most. We know that Canadians are feeling the rising cost of living through things like higher food prices and rent. So while inflation is a global challenge caused by COVID-19 pandemic and Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine, Bill C-30 would help families weather its impacts by putting more money back in the pockets of the middle class and those working hard to join it. Now, Madam Speaker, by doubling the goods and services tax, the GST credit for 6 months, this key piece of legislation would deliver $2.5 billion in additional targeted support to roughly 11 million individuals and families who already receive the tax credit, including about half of Canadian families with children and more than half of Canadian seniors. With Bill C-30, single Canadians without children would receive up to an extra $234, and couples with 2 children would receive an extra $467 this year. Seniors would receive an extra $225 on average. Madam Speaker, let's take a minute to delve more deeply into some examples of what it would mean for Canadians in real terms for the 2022-2023 benefit year. I like giving clear examples because it allows people, not only in my riding of Davenport, but Canadians right across this country, to see themselves in some of these profiles. Under the current GST credit, a single mother with 1 child and a net income of $30,000 will receive $386.50 for the July through December 2022 period, and another $386.50 for the January through June 2023 period. But with Bill C-30, she would receive an additional $386.50. So in total, she would be receiving about $1,160 this benefit year through the GST credit. And that will be super helpful for this single mother. Another example, under the status quo GST credit, a single senior with $20,000 in net income would be receiving $233.50 for the July through December 2022 period, and another $233.50 for the January through June 2023 period. However, with Bill C-30, if it's passed, this senior will receive an additional $233.50. In total, he or she would be receiving about $701. This benefit year through the GST credit. And I'll give you one more example, Madam Speaker. Under the present system, a couple with 2 children and $35,000 in net income would be receiving $467 for the July through December 2022 period, and another $467 for the January through June 2023 period. And with the temporary doubling of the GST credit amounts for 6 months, this family would receive an additional $467. So in total, they would be receiving about $1,401 this benefit year through the GST credit. What's more, Madam Speaker, with this change, the money would be coming to them through a straightforward process. That's because the extra GST credit amounts would be paid to all current recipients through the existing GST credit system as a one-time lump sum payment before the end of the year. Recipients would not need to apply for the additional payment. They only need to have filed their 2021 tax return, if they have not already done so, to be able to receive both the current GST credit and the additional payment. Moreover, Madam Speaker, Bill C-30 is just one out of two pieces of legislation that we've introduced already in this parliamentary session to make life more affordable for Canadians. The Minister of Health has also introduced Bill C-31, which would provide a Canada dental benefit starting this year. I was very privileged to speak on this bill in the House of Commons last week because a national dental care benefit is so important to Davenport residents, and I want to formally indicate the importance of this legislation passing in the House. Madam Speaker, just to remind everyone, Bill C-31, if passed, would allow families with children under 12 who do not have access to private dental insurance and who have an adjusted net income of less than $90,000 to access direct payments totaling up to $1,300 per child over the next 2 years, up to $650 per year to cover dental expenses for their children under 12 years old. Bill C-31 would also provide a one-time top-up to the Canada Housing Benefit. This would be available to applicants with an adjusted net income below $35,000 for families or below $20,000 for individuals who pay at least 30% of their income on rent. This means a one-time payment of $500 to 1.8 million Canadian renters who are struggling with the cost of housing. Now, Madam Speaker, the bills that we're discussing today, so that's both C-30, very specifically, and as an aside, C-31, we know that they will not solve everything. And while it will not solve everything, as our Minister of Finance said yesterday at Finance Committee, it will provide real support for 11 million Canadian households, for people who really need the help. Now, Madam Speaker, it's important to remind this House that there are many other measures that would build on the Bill C-30 and Bill C-31 that we've been speaking about today. And these include measures like enhancing the Canada Workers' Benefit. This will deliver $1.7 billion in new support to an estimated 3 million low-income workers this year, with a couple receiving up to $2,400 more and single workers receiving up to $1,200 more. And most recipients have already received this additional support through their 2021 tax refund. Secondly, as a result of agreements reached with all 13 provinces and territories, we are also effectively cutting regulated childcare fees in half, on average, for families in Canada by the end of this year. This Canada-wide plan means savings for families from $2,610 in Manitoba to $6,000 in British Columbia in 2022, and an average childcare fee of just $10 a day for all regulated childcare spaces across Canada by 2025-2026. We've also introduced a 10% increase to the old age security pension for seniors 75 and older, which began in July 2022, and which will provide more than $800 in new support to full pensioners over the first year and increase benefits for more than 3 million seniors. And we're also providing support for students by doubling the Canada Student Grant amount until July 2023 and by waiving interest on Canada student loans through to March 2023. So taking together, our federal government's affordability plan is delivering targeted and fiscally responsible financial support to Canadians who need it the most, with particular emphasis on addressing the needs of low-income Canadians who are most exposed to inflation. And we will continue to strike a balance between delivering support where and when it is needed the most, and maintaining the discipline that has given Canada the strongest fiscal position in the G7. And so, Madam Speaker, in conclusion, I know that Canadians are counting on parliamentarians to make the reality of C-30 the support of C-30 a reality, and I would encourage all my colleagues of all sides for the immediate adoption of Bill C-30, the cost of living relief, number one, so that we can continue to make life more affordable for Canadians who need it the most. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.